Welcome to that meeting on service dogs and how they can work for you. So just real quickly, this is some ADA guidelines as to what it's considered or how the ADA defines what a service dog is. A service animal, or service animals are defined as dogs that are individually trained to do work. Sorry, yeah.
This is your season.
This is blocking half of my screen. There we go. Service animals are defined as dogs that are individually trained to do work or perform tasks for people with disabilities. Examples of such work or tasks include guiding people who are blind, alerting people who are deaf, pulling a wheelchair, alerting and protecting a person who is having a seizure, reminding a person with mental illness to take prescribed medications, calming a person with post-traumatic stress disorders during an anxiety attack, or performing other duties. Service animals are working animals, not pets. The work or task a dog has been trained to provide must be directly related to the person's disability. Dogs whose sole function is to provide comfort or emotional support do not qualify as service animals under the ADA. This definition does not affect or limit the broader definition of assistance animal under the Fair Housing Act or the broader definition of service animal under the Air Carrier Access Act. Some state and local laws also define service animals more broadly than the ADA does. Information about such laws can be obtained from the relevant state attorney general's office. Where service animals are allowed under the ADA, state and local governments, businesses, and nonprofit organizations that serve the public generally must allow service animals to accompany people with disabilities in all areas of the facility where the public is allowed to go. For an example, in a hospital, it usually would be inappropriate to exclude a service animal from areas such as patient rooms, clinic cafeterias, or exam rooms. However, it may be appropriate to exclude a service animal from operating rooms or burn units where the animal's presence may compromise a sterile environment. Establishments that sell or prepare food must generally allow service animals in public areas, even if state or local health codes prohibit animals on these premises. People with disabilities who use service animals cannot be isolated from other patrons, treated less favorably than other patrons, or charge fees that are not charged to other patrons without animals. In addition, if a business requires a deposit or fee to be paid for patrons with pets, it must be waived the charge for service animals. If a business such as a hotel normally charges guests for damage that they cause, a customer with a disability may also be charged for damage caused by himself or his service animal. Staff are not required to provide care through your supervision of a service animal. Why a service dog? What made us decide to get a service dog? How can you get a service dog? And can any dog be a service dog? How to get a service dog? There's three different ways that you can get a service dog. There's program trained, which is what we have a couple of speakers here tonight. They are dogs that have been trained through organizations like Canine Companions and are placed with eligible candidates, usually for little or no charge at all, usually the easiest and least expensive way. Private trainer trained, when you hire a private trainer to fully train your dog and for you, and they bring it back once trained, usually most expensive method. An owner trained is when you train a dog yourself. It costs more than program trained, but a lot less than a private trainer. So now, let me stop this. Okay. So now moving on tonight, we are joined by a couple of speakers. We have here, where are you? Michelle, Katie Parker, who is joining us tonight from Canine Companions. She's going to talk a little bit about the work that they do with their organization. And then after that, we're going to be having Caitlin Bellamy and Tina Musselwhite from Paws for People. And they're going to explain what how their organization operates as well. And then we'll take it from there again. Okay, so Katie, you want to go ahead and share your screen? Do you have anything you want to share?
Yes, let me just pull up my PowerPoint. Okay, can you see my PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Let's see, try that again. Isn't Zoom fun? All right, let me try that one more time. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not working. Is it just showing my face?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, everybody's face.
All right, let me try it one more time.
There you go.
Okay,
There you
great.
go.
Yay. All right. Looks good?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, well, my name's Katie Parker, and I'm a client services program manager at Canine Companions. And I work with applicants who are individuals who have disabilities and are applying for a service dog through our organization. So I'm just going to share a little bit about what Canine Companion does, a little bit about the application process, and if anyone has any questions for me, happy to answer those. And I can also put our contact information down in the chat in case anyone has any follow-up questions as well. So Canine Companions, we have been in industry since 1975. And we are actually one of the largest service dog organizations out there. We are Assistance Dogs International, or ADI accredited, and we serve clients with a variety of disabilities, both adults, children, veterans, and we also place facility dogs with professionals who work with disadvantaged communities, such as special education teachers or occupational therapists, people kind of in those fields. And one of the big benefits of applying for a dog through Canine Companions is we do not charge. So we're a nonprofit, well funded by many of our constituents. And so there's no fee to apply for or receive a service dog from Canine Companions. Clients are responsible for the care of the dog once the dog is placed. But the initial application and receipt of the dog is not, or it is free of charge. Okay, so Canine Companions, we have 6 regional training centers across the United States. The little stars indicate where we're at. I'm the one on the very far left in Northern California. So I serve folks in the upper Pacific Northwest and the surrounding states. I know some of you are from all over the United States. So your state is covered by one of our regional centers. And move on. So talk a little bit about the clients that we serve. As I mentioned, we serve adults with a variety of disabilities, most often physical disabilities, or those who are hearing impaired. There is a chart there on the right that just demonstrates some of the various disabilities of clients that we serve. We also serve children who have disabilities. The service dogs are trained to perform, physical tasks to assist or mitigate symptoms of a disability. And with a child, they're also with the support of a facilitator, which is most often a parent or a guardian. For our adults who have physical disabilities, some of the most common tasks that our dogs offer are things like picking up dropped items, helping tug open doors, helping turn on and off light switches, carrying small items from one place to another. If an individual is in a wheelchair, some of our dogs will assist in propelling the wheelchair. And those are just some examples of how our dogs are utilized out there. We also serve veterans who have service-connected PTSD, and those dogs are trained to mitigate symptoms of anxiety, help hold space for the clients in public, and also nightmare interruption. And as I mentioned with, I think I went too far there. And as I mentioned with our facility dogs, they're often paired with an individual who works in healthcare, criminal justice setting, or an educational setting. So folks who work with people who have disabilities or another disadvantaged community. Okay. So some photos of our dogs and some of our clients here. The Canine Companions dogs are trained in over 40 different skills. Some of those are basic things like down and up, sit, all the way to learning to tug off a sock, again, helping propel a wheelchair, and also stringing various skills together to assist the client with various tasks. I'm going to walk through briefly what it takes to become a service dog or how it works. So we have a wide range of volunteers who work with Canine Companions. One of our biggest volunteer pools are our puppy raisers, and the puppy raisers will acquire the dog when they're about 8 weeks of age from Canine Companions, and they will raise the dog for the first 18 months of their life. They will take the dog to puppy classes, make sure they have a healthy diet, provide a good amount of socialization opportunities, which is really important when preparing a dog to be a service dog. Lots of love, of course, and then also working with Canine Companions to monitor the puppy's progress. I'll speak briefly to the socialization opportunities because until the pandemic and until shelter in place, I don't think we necessarily grasped the impact and the importance of those socialization opportunities. What we're finding now is puppies who were kind of contained more to the home during that shelter in place, they're turning out to maybe not be the most suitable to be service dogs as they're coming through professional training. So currently our pool of suitable dogs is a bit smaller than usual. So we're hoping to ramp things back up now that things are opened up more. But it was surprising the impact that had on the puppies in that particular when they were born and when they happened to be going through. So once the dog is about 18 months old, they will be turned into one of our regional training centers. And they're going to start their professional training with our dog trainers on campus. And their training lasts anywhere between 5 and 9 months, depending on what track of dog they are or what track they are selected for. Instructors do work one-on-one with the dogs in their string, and they can, and they do continue working with that dog and training those 40 different skills. So once the dog completes their professional training, they are rotated through one of our team training classes. And team training is when a client will visit one of our regional training centers. They will stay on campus for 2 weeks and we will match them with a dog. So the first few days we'll rotate them with a few different dogs that we think might be a good match based on their physical needs, their handling style, the dog's temperament, the type of working environment the client might have. There's a lot of different factors that are taken into consideration when we're making that match. But after a few days, we'll make a pre-match, and then that is most likely the dog that the client is going home with. And so they'll continue working with that dog throughout the training experience. At the end of team training, we do a formal graduation ceremony and celebration. Not very many dry eyes at the end of that. And we also provide a really good amount of ongoing follow-up support throughout the working life of the dog. So once a client goes home with the dog, there's a good amount of follow-up, especially the first 6 months to a year while the dog is acclimating, while the bond is happening, and then kind of tapering off, as we go. But we do have a graduate department that is always available if any of our clients have any questions or need any support. All right, our dogs. I'll talk a little bit more about the types of dogs. So again, we serve adults with physical or auditory disabilities, children with physical or cognitive disabilities, or also adults who have physical or cognitive disabilities who have the assistance of a facilitator like a parent or caregiver or spouse. to help work with the dog and manage the dog. Let's see, I gave these examples already, but again, just another type of client that we serve are individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. And those dogs, they provide alerts to various sounds. So for example, a fire alarm or a doorbell ringing or the water being left on. That's the type of skill that that dog performs for that specific type of clients. All right, and then a little bit more about our facility dogs. So again, they work in special education classrooms, physical and occupational therapy, some social work or counseling settings, speech therapy, adapted physical or recreational therapy, and courthouse facility dogs. They're often utilized in various types of forensic interviews, witness interviews, and sometimes in the courtroom as well. And facility dogs are a little different than service dogs. Access rights are very different. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That is different than a service dog, but it is another type of dog that Canine Companions places. And then again, our dogs for service dogs for veterans with PTSD. This has been a pilot program for the past 3 years, and we placed a good amount of dogs with this particular client's population. And this is actually the only type of psychiatric service dog that Canine Companions currently trains. So I think the pilot is going really well. My hope is that one day we'll be able to open up that particular category to the civilian population as well. But more to come on that. So applying for a dog. So this is the application process in a very brief nutshell. So the first step would be to submit an online application request at canine.org/apply. And then once your request is reviewed and approved to move forward, we'll then send you an application. After that, there is a phone interview. After that, we will have you ask your doctor or your professional that you work with to complete some reference forms. Those are usually relative to an individual's physical, physical abilities, physical profile, just confirming their disabilities diagnosed, and then how that impacts them and just how it might help us pair the right dog with that person. Just good information for us to have. And then the last step there would be the personal interview. That's an in-person interview that happens at one of our regional training centers. And then after that, our team will meet. We will review the client's application again, discuss all the notes from the various interviews, and decide whether to accept them to our wait list. And then once the client is added to the wait list, depending on where you're located in the country, the wait times vary. Here in our Northwest region, we have the most clients, and so our wait times are probably a bit longer than maybe if you lived in Texas, for example, but it can be anywhere from 6 months to 2 years for placement. I know that's a wide range, but again, a lot of that depends on the type of dog you're applying for, the specific skills you need, your personal physical profile, and just how many dogs we have available at the time. Okay, so just some interesting ways to get involved if you're interested. Excuse me. You're welcome to visit our website at canine.org. We're also fairly active on social media. So we have a Facebook page, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. So feel free to check us out there. You're welcome to reach out to us. That is our general 800 number, and our receptionist is happy to connect you to your local regional training center if you had any more questions about applying. And some folks might be interested in donating or potentially volunteering. Maybe that volunteer puppy raiser opportunity sounds like fun for any of you. You're welcome to check out that opportunity as well. All right, I'm going to try to attempt to play you a video. I'm going to unplug my headphones really quick. You might hear my cat playing with his toy in the background. Okay.
This is no ordinary puppy. This is no ordinary puppy. He's a Canine Companions for Independence assistance dog in the making. Born, raised, and trained to rise to any challenge. Partnered to give independence to a child, adult, or veteran with a disability, entirely free of charge. Learn how you can give independence and give a dog a job at cci.org.
So, and then Sean, remind me a chance to ask questions now. Otherwise, I can stay on and we can field any questions at the end.
Yeah, let's field the question at the end just in case.
Okay.
This way it gives everybody a chance to say what they have to say, and then we'll go through everything.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
So now next up we have Caitlin and Tina from Paws for People.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to share screen as well. Let me. Can you see what I'm seeing?
Yep.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you all so much for having me. My name is Caitlin Bellamy. I'm Director of Executive Administration at Paws for People Foundation. I'm joined by my teammate, Tina Musselwhite, who's here as a training and learning opportunity. So thank you for having her as well. So Paws for People, we are located in Wilmington, North Carolina. Some of you might not know where that is. I know everyone's from all over the country, but it's just a little coastal town in southeastern North Carolina, but it's actually home to our national headquarters. And that's Paws for People has been there quite a while, which we'll talk about. At Paws for People, our mission is empowering and educating individuals to utilize assistance dogs to transform their lives. Oops. Not liking me. There we go. All right. So a little bit more about Paws for People. We were founded in 1999. We've been around a fairly long time. Our executive director, Kyrie Henry Weisenhunt, founded the organization when she was just 12 years old. She co-founded it with her father, who was a veteran. So that kind of gave the inspiration for Paws for People. And we specialize in the placement of assistance dogs with children, veterans, military dependents. I will add on to this list civilians, active duty military, you name it, we pretty much do it. And we provide these dogs at no cost to the client. When Kyrie originally founded the organization, it was founded in Northern Virginia, but then re-headquartered to Wilmington in 2011. And the reason why we relocated to Wilmington was to partner with the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, which is our local university. And there we have the UNCW Paws for People Assistance Dog Training Program, which is really kind of the lifeblood of our programming. We are also accredited by Assistance Dogs International, and we're also accredited by Animal Assisted Intervention International, which is just the facility dog accreditor. So I know we talked a little bit about facility dogs. You've heard a little bit about it in Canine Companions talk, and we also do facility dogs. So we're accredited in that entity as well. So this slide just captures what we do and why we do it. So we are we raise, and I will say breed as well, train and place assistance dogs with individuals with life-altering disabilities. And we also provide certification, insurance, and support for the client dog teams throughout the duration of their career. So that is really kind of the core of what we do. And we really pride ourselves in not just giving a dog to a client and saying goodbye. We really are a part of their journey throughout the time that they're a team. So currently, Paws for People, we have about 15 full-time staff here in Wilmington. I think we have about one remote person, so we're pretty centralized here in Wilmington. We have over 200 volunteers in this area who help with a wide array of things. And since 1999, we have raised, trained, and placed over 1,200 assistance dogs to help people. So just some org stats. We typically have about 80 dogs in our training programs. That's between our puppy development program, our Paws for Prisons program, which is our prison training program, and our UNCW program. I'll talk a little bit more about those programming later, so just keeping that in the back of your mind as we go along. We have over 350 dogs active, placed, working nationwide. So we do place in all states in the lower 48. We're currently in 22 states. So we really place anywhere. The only stipulation is that our clients must come to Wilmington, North Carolina to train. So we do have placements out in California, Washington State, Oregon State, really all over. The difference is they just have to travel a little bit further than some of our more local clients. So our current graduation rate is around 88%. We're really proud of that number, and we pride ourselves in really trying to place the dog in the right place for them. So we offer a lot of unique placements, and I think this lends itself to that number. Each of our dogs are tax evaluated around $100,000. So our dogs are truly our assets, and they're truly our priority. Our overhead percentage, so we are a nonprofit and we do place dogs at no cost. For you numbers people, this number might speak to you. When I started doing this presentation, it didn't mean anything to me, but basically the lower this number is, the better. Most nonprofits are around 10% or under, and we pride ourselves in having a really low overhead, so about 3.4%. The puppies in this photo are 3 days old, which we'll get to later why that's important, but I actually took this photo too, which is pretty neat. So this is actually the age our puppies start training, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So here we are. So our puppies are all born in an internal breeding program. And at 3 days old, our staff team starts training. So we're exposing the puppies to a lot of different little stressors. So the technique is called early neurological stimulation. So we're starting to hold the puppies on their back, maybe poking them with a Q-tip, all sorts of funny little things to start getting the puppies exposed to stress. So from birth to 3 weeks, they're doing some early neurological stimulation. They're experiencing new textures, new sounds, and early scent training. Then they transfer to our puppy development center. So our puppies from 3 weeks to 20 weeks are at our facility in Wilmington. We have a whole building devoted to puppy development. So we actually have a live-in staff there, as well as volunteers and staff that come in every day to that center to really build the puppy's confidence. They're working on basic commands, and they're obviously getting socialized with so many people coming in. They're also going on daily outings to our community. So they're going anywhere and everywhere, right? And really just kind of getting those basics under their belt. At 20 weeks old, our dogs transfer to our Paws for Prisons training program, which we currently operate out of 2 prisons in West Virginia. You're probably wondering, why West Virginia? You guys are located in North Carolina. That doesn't make much sense, right? So our founder, when she was a sophomore in college, she founded a prison training program. She went to WVU, so West Virginia University, and she started going into prisons 3 and 4 times a week to set up this program. So we've really just stuck with the West Virginia correctionals facilities because we just have such a great relationship with them. So their inmate trainers actually train our dogs in advanced obedience and disability skills. So all of our dogs know 100 commands, including some disability tasks as well. So all sorts of specialized things that they can do. This starts here with the inmate trainers. People always ask me, do they go home with the security guards? Where are these dogs? How are they living in the prison? And they actually live, they're with their inmate trainer all day. They sleep in a kennel next to their inmate trainer. So they're really a part of the inmates' whole programming and rehabilitation. So dogs are there from 5 to 15 months old. Around a year, we start selecting a pool of dogs that might be right for an applicant. I should say, so applications are all on our website. There's a short application on our website, and anyone can apply, obviously, who has that need. Once you go from there, all of our applications are on a rolling cycle. So we never leave anyone waiting for too long. So typically within 6 months, if you've been accepted on this cycle or not. Those that are accepted then are up to match with their dog. Those that declined are, obviously given a declination and then are allowed to apply within the next 6 months. So we try to not leave anyone hanging and just always kind of processing applications and always encouraging clients, if they didn't make it on the first try again a little bit later, and it might be the right timing that we can accept. So that's a little bit of background about the application process. So once that client is selected, they are up to match with their dog. We call this process a bump. The bump I always liken to speed dating. So it's really fun. We normally have about 5 dogs in mind for one applicant based on what their needs are and what the dog's good at, right? So we literally just bring a dog up to them one at a time. We see how they interact. We see how they interact with the client's medical equipment, the client's family, you name it. So we really say that our dogs pick their clients because usually you can visibly see in the bump process the dog really matching with that client. It's really unique and a really special part of our programming. So from there, our dogs then transfer to our UNCW training program. So they're students who are a part of our program receiving class credit. They are training our dogs in public access. So they're working those 100 commands out in public and also working on refining their disability skills. So that's around 16 to 24 months. Simultaneously, the clients are also coming to Wilmington once a month for 3 days per month. And they are working alongside our staff team and starting their transfer training process. So clients during this process learn a ton of different things, and we go a ton of different places and teach the client how to utilize their dog. Typically, clients come back for 6 months for that 3 days a week training. So that's about 18 days, right? At that point, usually our clients are ready to what we call Blackfest. So Blackfest is kind of like getting your driver's permit. Don't have your full license yet, but we're going to send the dog home with you under a conditional basis. So you're going to have some homework, you're going to have some FaceTimes with staff to check in, and you're still coming back to Wilmington each month just to check in, see how everything's going with life at home. Clients normally on Blackvest stay in it for about 3 months, and then they take their final public access test to get their red vest, which we liken to a full driver's license. So once they have that red vest, they're a certified and insured team with us. This slide says dogs go home with the client, which is true, but the training and our relationship with the client doesn't end there. They have 24/7 access to a client advocate, and we do live recertifications with our dogs and their clients each year. So we have teams that fly to all corners of the United States to check in with our placements all over and do their live public access test. So this slide just kind of sums up the types of dogs we train. Broadly speaking, we pretty much do it all except guide dogs or dogs that assist individuals with visual impairment. So really, you name it, we do it from there onward. So mobility assistance is probably a category most of you are familiar with. Our dogs in this category can help an individual with physical limitations in a number of ways. They can turn on and off lights, they can open and close doors, they can open the fridge, get medication, bring it to their client. So really just helping them gain independence. The sensory development and tactile pressure category is just a really fancy term for dogs that help usually children on the autism spectrum, maybe with Down syndrome. We work with a lot of different children that have a lot of different diagnoses. These dogs really provide grounding, especially when in public, especially at medical appointments, when they're having those really tough procedures. Our dogs have a command called cuddle. They can provide deep pressure and really used as a motivating factor as well to face sometimes really difficult public interactions or medical appointments, and in-home support too, of course. So psychiatric medical alert. Unfortunately, most of our clients in this category are veterans, but we do also serve civilians in this category as well. We also serve, I should mention in this category, survivors of sexual trauma and military sexual trauma. So dogs in this category can provide nightmare interruption, they can alert to negative behaviors, they can alert to people approaching from behind in public. They provide a lot of grounding for their veteran or client in public as well. Allergen detection and diabetic alert, weirdly, I always group together. Similarly, these are dogs who use their nose to help people. So allergen detection is assisting individuals with severe allergies, whether peanut allergy is usually the example I use. So our dogs can smell book bags when they're walking in with their child client to class. They can smell book bags, see if anyone has peanuts. They can also smell an item of food, see if there's peanuts there, and alert their client to that. Incident response is a category that is really broad for us. There's a lot of kind of buzz on the internet about dogs that assist individuals that have epilepsy. So this is kind of our category for that, but we really serve a wider range of individuals. So my favorite example is we have a client who is a veteran who has a difficulty breathing, and he does have episodes where he can't breathe, and he can't call out for help, even with his wife in the next room. So his dog is trained when he has one of those episodes to go get his wife and bring her into the room with him. If his wife is not home, we have a button. So the dog knows to go push the button. The button texts his wife. So there's a lot of really cool ways our dogs can help in the event of a medical emergency or crisis in this category. So we really customize those commands to the lifestyle of the client and what they really need. Diabetic alert are dogs that alert to blood sugar low. And hearing alert are dogs that are placed with clients that have hearing loss, and they can do a wide array of things. Somebody's knocking at the door, they can get their client's attention, bring them to the door. Their cell phone's going off, they can retrieve the cell phone, bring it to them. Kitchen timer's going off, they can bring the dog to the kitchen timer. So really just helping the individuals in this category gain some more independence. And then we also do facility dogs. So we really kind of, we have a lot of unique facility dog placements. Rehabilitative facility is just that category. We place with OTs, PTs. We actually place with dentists too that fall in this category. So we have a few dental facility dogs who provide deep pressure to patients and are paired with actually a doctor, so a dentist at the practice. Psychiatric facilities, so dogs that are paired with psychiatric medical professionals. Crisis response is a category for our dogs that are paired with a first responder as a handler, and they can go on calls with the first responder to help de-escalate the situation, or they can also provide support to the first responders themselves. Canine assisted education is our dogs that are paired with teachers and go to school every day to provide motivation to the children in class. I know we're short on time, so I'm going to wrap up here really quick. I know you guys probably have a lot of questions. So I'm just going to skip through to our last slide. So we are located in Wilmington, so I encourage anyone, if you live in North Carolina, please give us a shout. There's lots of ways to get involved with us. So volunteering at our campus if you're local. We have puppy socialization opportunities. So if you're local to Wilmington, we take puppies on a ton of outings, and individuals around here get to have some fun and love on our puppies when they're on their socialization outings. We also offer puppy hosting for weekends in Wilmington, North Carolina as well. So local as well. Breeder ambassador, we're always looking for families in the Southeast region to have one of our breeder ambassador dogs. They're pretty wonderful. And then we have a ton of events local to Wilmington, but there are ways you can get involved virtually. I'll pass my contact to everyone. So if you have questions or want to get involved in something, please let me know. We're always looking to connect to new sponsors, whether it be corporate or local to our areas. And then we are a nonprofit, so we always encourage people to make a donation to support our life-changing programs. And now I just have our question slide. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to stop share here.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Brian, take it away.
Brian, you're on mute.
Thank you. Rookie move, eh? So I just want to thank Vanessa and Sean and Heather for inviting me to be part of the presentation this evening. We're going to turn the conversation a little more in the direction those of us who live with Pompe disease, and I'm one of those. So I'm Brian Terhorst, and in the slide there, you'll see the service dog who helps me these days. That's Coppola, and or Kopi, and you'll meet him in person at the end of our chat here. I just turned 60, and Coppola just turned 6, and we live in Grass Valley, California, up in the northern Sierra. I was diagnosed with Pompe disease in 2012. My actual age of onset was about age 5, and I just lived with a very slow, gradual progression. I was misdiagnosed at age 23 with a non-specific form of muscular dystrophy, and it wasn't until about 26 years later that we figured out that I had Pompe disease. So, over that arc of time, I lost my ability to walk and stand and climb stairs. I've been a wheelchair user for over 20 years. I've been using a BiPAP machine at night for a long time, but I've been ventilator dependent for about 10 years. And for the last 14 years, I've shared my road with a service dog, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. So, those of us who live with Pompe disease, especially if it's progressed to the point where it's limiting your mobility or your range of motion in your arms and upper body, we face some common challenges. Picking up things that we drop, even if we're still on our feet, the process of bending over, picking things up, getting upright again, it's a common thing a lot of us share. Opening and closing doors or drawers, especially if you're a wheelchair user, that gets pretty challenging, again, especially if you have a limited range of motion. Dressing and undressing, reaching high surfaces, calling for help if you take a spill, and just the feelings of isolation that go with living with a disability. And a trained service dog can assist with a lot of those things, and a lot of other things too. I'm a 2-time graduate of the Canine Companions Service Dog team training that Katie talked about, and I've gone through their programs in Santa Rosa at the Northwest region. I was paired with my first service dog, Playa, in 2009, and we were together as a team for 10 years. She retired in 2019, and I worked with Canine Companions to gracefully navigate her retirement and my admission to the successor program. I went back to Canine Companions in 2019 and was matched with Coppola, and the little image you see on that slide is us on their campus with Coppola working the door activators. So again, as Katie mentioned, the service dogs who come through Canine Companions complete that program with about 40 commands. And a lot of them are positional commands. If you're out in the world with a dog by your side, from a practical standpoint, you need to be pretty adept at having your dog right where you need them, either on your right side or your left side, or if you need them moving in front of you through a door, or walking right by your side onto an elevator, or there are probably a dozen or more commands that are just where you need your dog to be. And then there's a whole suite of commands that are, more advanced performance commands. And I've got a couple of slides up there of Playa opening a heavy door on the Canine Companions campus using a door tug. And then there's the image there of Coppola activating light switches. So this is a slide. I'm not going to go through this. You can thank me later. This is about half of the commands that their service dogs have. And on the left here, these are positional commands. I've highlighted in bold and asterisks commands I use almost every day with Coppola. And again, these are I need you right in this spot as we move through this next challenge or threshold or whatever. And then over on the right are more advanced commands. These are, I drop my keys. I need you to grab those, and I need you to give them back to me. I need you in my lap as you hand that to me, or there's a customizable command for your dog to enter your car. And when you're on campus going through team training, the team at Canine Companions works with you and your car to totally fine tune that command so your dog is, safely gets in and out of the vehicle in exactly the way that suits your car and your abilities. So, and I can answer more questions about that when we get there, but that's just a cross section of some of the skills that these dogs have. So the other thing we talk a lot about what the dogs can do for us, skills and things that help us out. And there is the companion aspect that's kind of a non-quantifiable part of the equation. Living with a disability is not a picnic, and and it's easy to feel alone and isolated in the world. And I know that when I think of the things that I've most benefited from in terms of my relationships with my service dogs, it's been that friendship, that steadfast buddy that is at your side and is always available, emotionally and affectionately. And it's worth mentioning when we talk about what we get from these creatures. So some of the responsibilities that we bear as handlers, the Canine Companion service dog, it's our responsibility to maintain their health. Dogs need regular exercise. We take responsibility for their veterinary care, shots and checkups. It's our responsibility to keep them groomed, keep their teeth clean, their coat clean, their nails trimmed. At Canine Companions, we're required to maintain our dog's body weight exactly. Toby weighs 69 pounds, which is what he weighed the day I left campus. And if his weight gets a pound or two above that, it's my responsibility to gradually get him back to his ideal weight. It's our responsibility to maintain their core commands. Now, these dogs come with the ability to do a lot of things that we may or may not really use in our day-to-day life. And, we don't necessarily, I mean, I don't have Copia working light switches for me, but there's a core set of commands that we need to maintain. And we have to recertify with these dogs on a regular interval where we meet with Canine Companion staff and they test us to make sure our dogs are still meeting the standard for public access. And of course, when we're out in public, our dogs need to fly their colors. So here's just some pros and cons about the Canine Companions program. I'll start with the cons list, which is short. The waiting period is, the hardest part, I think. And as somebody who has been through this program, once you're on the wait list, that 2 years goes by really fast. And once you're in the community of Canine Companions, the 2 year wait was well worth it in my opinion. The only other con, and it's not really a con, is that it's our responsibility to take care of our dog, and that's a big responsibility. But on the pro side, it's a free program. The dogs are bred in a long line of service animals. They're born from a long line of dogs that have a calm temperament, the ability to learn fast, really good health. The 2-week intensive team training is an extraordinary experience for a person living with disabilities. You learn how to work with your new friend. You get in-depth education on dog behavior. You learn about the ADA and access rights. And then you have access to ongoing support. They're always available for advice and counsel if you're having issues with your dog. If you're trying to train your dog to do something really advanced and specific, they can talk you through that. And Canine Companions has also helped me financially when I've run into a couple of weird events with my dog. So, and then getting into the successor program. So when your dog retires and you want to go back, that process is fast tracked. You don't have to wait 2 years like you did at the start. So that's the perspective of a Pompe person and my experience with Canine Companions. I'm going to turn things over to Sean, who has just embarked on the process of training his new buddy, Shay. So take it away, Sean.
Thanks, Brian. So, as most of you know, I'm Sean, and I just got a lovely 10-week-old German Shepherd puppy named Shay. I was diagnosed with late onset Pompe back in 2016. I have been kind of looking into the whole service dog thing for, I'd say probably the last maybe 3 years or so. I called a couple of different organizations back then. However, I was told by one organization that I wouldn't qualify at the moment because of the fact that since I currently had a dog, they wouldn't even consider putting me on a waiting list until I either had to sign something that stated if I got placed with a dog, I'd have to give my current dog away, or I would have to wait until my dog was no longer with us before I'd be able to get a dog. So I just kind of, stopped following at that point. I am ambulatory. I get around most of the time with the use of a cane. I do use a walker and a wheelchair other times, depending on how I feel on any particular day, or what me and my family have planned for that day. If we're going out anywhere where there's going to be a lot of walking involved, then I usually take my wheelchair with me. So that's you can go on to the next slide. There. What made me decide to do my own training to get my own dog and train was, first of all, like I said, I don't have to wait 2 years for a dog. There's no wait list. I can basically just go out and purchase my own dog and go right to training on it. Most of the organizations that I did come in contact with after my previous dog was no longer with us, it was a 1.5 to 2 year waiting list minimum, and the breeds that they used were either labs, golden retrievers, or a combination of the two. I kind of always had a thing in me that I just always loved German Shepherds. I had one as a kid, and my poor wife has been hearing me saying ever since we've been married, I'm going to get a German Shepherd. So now I got my German Shepherd. It gave me the opportunity. I was able to get any dog that I wanted and not have to worry about, just settling for any dog that other organizations, train. And I feel like in a way it makes me bond better with my dog. My dog is 10 weeks old, 11 weeks old on Saturday. So, she knows me from the beginning, as opposed to like if I would have gone through a, organization like Paws for People or Canine Companions, where I'm getting a dog that's already 2 years old. We already have this bond, going at 10 weeks. So I just feel like it just makes it a little stronger for us that way. Pros and cons, like I said, there's no waiting. I can basically select any dog that I want and have it as my own and raise it and get that early bonding going in there. The cons, there's a lot of them. So there's a big learning curve when it comes to trying to train your own dog to be a service dog. Requires a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I mean, let's face facts, a lot of us with Pompe don't have a lot of energy to do much of anything, depending on how bad we are on certain things. It can be expensive if you're dealing with any kind of private trainer that's going to assist with training the dog. I've gotten quotes from some trainers that are going to charge anywhere from $100 an hour, and some that will go in as much as $250 an hour. So, and finding a trainer to train a service dog is a lot different than finding a trainer to train just a regular, puppy that you're going to have as a pet. There's a lot more involved. Right now I started out with she's being trained we're just going through like PetSmart for like regular puppy basic training. But then, after she learns the basics, it's time to kind of initiate all the rest of the stuff. And that's when things are going to start to, get a little pricier. And the biggest downfall, I would say, or the biggest con when it comes to this is that I can spend all this money on my dog. I can spend all this money and all this time and effort on training her. There's no guarantee that she's actually going to take as a service dog. So I can sit there and put in the next 1.5 to 2 years of work into training this dog to only find out that she's just not going to, she's going to basically, in a sense, what they say, wash out. So that's a big drawback. Next. And we have one other girl that was supposed to join us tonight, but she's, because of time differences and that, wasn't able to. Azaria is from the UK, and she has a service dog named Bronte. So she sent us a little something, just basically explaining that Bronte helps with picking up things that she drops. She helps with getting undressed by pulling up her jeans, sleeves, and socks. And Tess really helped give me back her independence. And service dogs in general are truly life changers, and we'll forever be grateful to have her in our life.